named Melissa D. Zartman. Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept instruction that you may gain wisdom for the future. That's me and my brothers when we were younger, trying to listen to the wisdom of my parents. This one I call Color My World. That image will make a little more sense to you with this story called Changing Our Vision. There was a very wealthy man who was bothered by severe eye pain. He consulted many physicians and was being treated by several. He did not stop consulting a galaxy of medical experts. He consumed heavy loads of drugs and underwent hundreds of injections, but the ache persisted with more vigor than before. At last, a monk who was supposed to be an expert in treating such patients was called for by the suffering man. The monk understood his problem and said that for some time he should concentrate only on green colors and not let his eyes fall on any other colors. It was a strange prescription, but he was desperate and decided to try it. The millionaire got together a group of painters and purchased barrels of green paint and directed that every object his eye was likely to fall on be painted green, just as the monk had directed. When the monk came to visit him after a few days, the millionaire's servants ran with buckets of green paint and poured it on him since he was in a red dress, lest their master see any other color and his eye ache would come back. Hearing this, the monk laughed and said, "If only you had purchased a pair of green spectacles worth just a few dollars, you could have saved these walls and trees and pots and all the other articles, and also could have saved a large share of his fortune because he spent much of it painting everything green. You cannot paint the world green." There's a lesson that goes with this one. Let us change our vision, and the world will appear accordingly. It is foolish to shape the world. Let us shape ourselves. Ooh, I love that. Proverbs 16:16, how much better to get wisdom than gold. To get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. I have two more. I hope you like these. I call this No More Sorrow, and the name of the story is The Magical Mustard Seed. There's an old Chinese tale about a woman whose only son died. In her grief, she went to the holy man and asked, "What prayers, what magical incantations do you have to bring my son back?" Instead of sending her away or reasoning with her, he said to her, "Fetch me a mustard seed from a home that has never known sorrow. We will use it to drive the sorrow out of your life." So the woman went off at once in search of that magical mustard seed. She came first to a splendid mansion, knocked on the door, and said, "I am looking for a home that has never known sorrow. Is this such a place? It is very important to me." They told her, "Well, you've certainly come to the wrong place," and began to describe all the tragic things that had recently befallen them. The woman said to herself, "Who is better able to help these poor, unfortunate people than I, who have had misfortune of my own." So she stayed to comfort them, then went on in search of a home that had never known sorrow. But wherever she turned, in hotels and in other places, she found one tale after another of sadness and misfortune. The woman became so involved in helping others cope with their sorrows that she eventually let go of her own. She would later come to understand that it was the quest to find the magical mustard seed that drove away her suffering. That reminds me of the saying, life is a journey, not a destination. Proverbs 11:30, that's a tree of life image painted. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, but violence takes it away. And then finally, the only thing to fear is, this is from actual Cherokee legend. Did you know, or do you know of the legend of the Cherokee Indian youth's rite of passage? Do any of you know that? Have you read it? Cherokee Indians' rite of passage. His father takes him into the forest, blindfolded, and leaves him alone. He's required to sit on a stump the whole night and not to take off the blindfold until the ray of sun shines through it. He is all by himself. He cannot cry out for help to anyone. Once he survives the night, he is a man. Then he cannot tell the other boys of this experience. Each boy must come into his own manhood. It's a neat kind of rite of passage. The boy was terrified, of course. He could hear all kinds of noise. Beasts were all around him. Maybe even some human would come and hurt him. Who knows? The wind blew the grass and earth, and it shook his stump, but he sat stoically, never removing the blindfold. It would be the only way he could become a man. Finally, after a horrific night, the sun appeared and he removed his blindfold. It was then that he saw his father sitting on the stumps next to him at watch the entire night. This is the moral that goes with this. We are never truly alone. Even when we do not know it, our family and friends are watching out for us, sitting on a stump beside us. And I can't help to think of the promises of God that have been given to us. How we are never truly alone. Our God is with us. Proverbs 3:7, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Speak no, see no, and hear no.